Kyle Bradshaw from Cruiser Customizing.
Gregory Beck with Tucker Distributing.
On this week's Wednesday with Greg, we're going to be talking about some of the things you would want to think about when changing your motorcycle oil.
Yeah, changing your oil on a cruiser is pretty cool because, like on sport bikes, you got a lot of body work and it can be really difficult to do. On a cruiser, they're pretty much out in the open if you have the right tool.
Greg's absolutely correct that most of the cruiser motorcycles have oil filters that are on the outside of the motor. Unlike the V-Star, we changed the oil. And then, if you've got a V-Star 1100, I completely recommend the Barron's or Jardine oil filter relocation kit.
On that particular model, you have to remove the exhaust pipes to change the oil.
The relocation kit has an adapter that then goes to the motor, and then the oil lines come forward, and it gives you an external filter. It's a great piece.
Yeah, so sometimes if you're online and you're talking with your buddies that have the same bike, listen for those tips. Some models, there's easier ways to get things done. If you don't.
Today we're going to go green. We want to talk to you a little bit about preserving the environment. Now, back when I was a kid, I know this isn't a good thing to be talking about, but when I was a kid, we used to have a back corner of the lot that we used to go back and pour all the oil in. That was just the oil dumping ground. Oh no.
Yeah, that area now where Kyle lived is a hazardous waste dump.
Nowadays, that's absolutely a no-no. Yeah. Our natural resources are things that we need to preserve, and with today's technology, we can recycle oil, not just throw it away.
Yeah, and if you have the proper equipment, it makes changing your oil and getting rid of it a lot easier. Well, after you drain it out into a pan like this, how the hell do you get it back into that quart without getting it all over?
Right. With a couple different motorcycles that I play with on a regular basis, I usually take this pan and then dump it into a 5-gallon bucket, and then it gets about 3/4 of the way full down and recycle it. But as a general rule, like Greg's saying, when you're doing a single motorcycle transaction, it's best just to pour this back into the bottles it came from and then recycle them that way.
Yeah, so what we have in front of us is one of my favorite type of containers. There's different brands. They all do the same thing. You drain the oil, pull this little plug out first, put this under the bike, drain the oil into it, and then put this lid back on. Now, to put oil back in the original containers, you take a funnel like this, you pour it in. Easy. Or, some places let you bring down bulk oil, like he says in the 5-gallon. It's right here. It makes it really nice.
Now, if you don't have a funnel, let me teach you one of the tricks that I learned from old Grandpa. Go ahead and take a power steering fluid bottle or any other bottle you have that's empty at the house, cut off one end, and then remove the cap on the other. Pour your oil or whatever you're dumping down the funnel, and then when you go to remove it, throw the cap back on, and you're not dripping things around when you clean it out.
To make your life easier when you're doing your oil change, you might want to use a set of these disposable gloves so that when you get done, you simply pull them off, and now you can work on your bike again without having oil all over your hands.
Now, the standard latex gloves are a little bit thinner, and if you want something that's going to last a little bit longer when you're doing automotive work, these nitro gloves do a great job.
Yeah, they're a little tip when you're doing your oil filter change. One of the things I do is I take my oil filter before I put it on, I hold it upright, and I take some of the oil that I'm going to put in the motorcycle, and I fill the oil filter with it. Sometimes it's a little difficult because if it's horizontal, you got to put it on, but still do that, and you don't have air in your system. Another thing is I wipe clean oil on the sealing surface, which is usually like a black O-ring or something, and then you put the oil filter on. When you put the oil filter on, tighten it a little bit. Don't tighten it a lot because they don't like that.
Now, when all's said and done, it's time for the cleanup. Sometimes just a regular rag isn't going to do it. You're going to leave residue all over the place. So I like to use industrial wipes. These are good for cleaning paint, adhesive, oil-based. Just about anything can be wiped up with these things, and they work great.
Yeah, and that way when you're done, you're clean, you're good to go.
That's it. So be nice to the environment, be nice to yourself, make sure you're responsible when doing your oil changes at home.
And check your drain bolt to make sure you snugged it up.
There you go. Thank you for watching this week's Wednesday with Greg.
And ride safe.